Don't forget, ko-fi.com/stopwritingalone is a real simple way to show your support for what's going on here week after week. Hi, everyone. This is Nicole Rivera, and this is the Stop Writing Alone podcast for writers who are looking for their writing community. I know you want to find readers for your work, but I think your first step is to connect with other writers. That's what we're going to do here in the Stop Writing Alone podcast. We'll do writing prompts and other writing group activities, discover online writing communities, learn how to find local writing groups, or how to make your own. Join us as we explore, learn, and write. Hi, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. I love social media. Actually, 11 years ago today, I was just getting discharged from a hospital and with a brand new diagnosis of a rare disease, and I did not want to be calling every single person I knew that was worried about me or give that responsibility to my husband. So throughout my whole hospitalization and, coming home and recovering, I started to connect with everybody via social media. I started to say, this is what happened, this is what the doctor said, and post it up once, and that was that. And as many of you know, if you've been listening to the podcast and know my story for quite some time, I was then home recovering from this rare disease, and really unable to keep up with regular schedules and socialization and things like that. So social media did become like my social spot, my place to connect with people. So I say all that because I want you to understand that I get all of the positive that comes from the internet, social media, whether it be Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I mean, again, if you've been listening, you know that these are all places that I tell you are fantastic for us to find our writing community and make connections. I mean, this is where Stop Writing Alone is, right? We're on Facebook. I have an Instagram now. I have my at NV Rivera on Twitter. I'm on all these platforms. But in the past week or so, I've been really questioning what to do in all of these spaces in between the real face-to-face sort of connections that we have there, whether it be like a live event or me going live, like talking to people directly. And two things sort of came across my screen in the last couple of days that really had me think about what writers need to be doing with social media. So the first is, and I had this discussion in one of the meetings in the Happy Campers Club, was a tweet by J.K. Rowling concerning sex and gender and her beliefs about it and what she thought it was going to do for women's rights, and the thread of comments that came from it afterwards, and a sort of call to action that everyone that cared about transgender people needed to stop following J.K. Rowling and understand how this tweet that she wrote exemplified a furthering of her misjudgments. And right before recording this episode, I found out that J.K. Rowling actually wrote an entire personal essay defending her stance that she was presenting in the tweet and what she was trying to say in the tweet. And one of the things that she wrote in there is, she said, "I forgot the first rule of Twitter is to not expect a nuanced conversation on Twitter." And I thought, oh yeah, that's huge, right? Because as writers, we're using our words all the time to communicate, and typically we're not limiting ourselves to such a short stream of expression. So you come to Twitter and you write a thing hoping that somebody will write back so that you can just keep going back and forth and really get to the depths of your point. And it's like, like the universe has something to say to you. So it keeps coming back and back. Not too long after I read the essay that J.K. Rowling presented, I saw an article about a writer, a television writer that passed away, Jas Waters. And while I wasn't familiar with her or her name before reading this, I'm familiar with her work because she was a writer for the show This Is Us. And I just was reading, the story and found my way to an interview that she had done 2 years ago. And this topic of social media came up again, and I wanted to read for you what she said about her taking a step back from social media. And I shared this article in the Stop Writing Alone Facebook page, but I'll also put it in a link in the show notes. It's from shadowandact.com, and it's from November 2018. It says, social media is challenging, and there's very little context on social media. You have to work so hard to provide the right context in, at the time, 140 characters, so that people can grasp what you are saying. It's an absolute panic room, and that's not good for anyone. It doesn't actually solve anything because there's very little conversation actually being had. It's just a room of people shouting at one another. I understand that everyone's enraged and mad, and for some people, that's their only outlet. I had to recognize the blessing in having an outlet that could provide context and also spark conversation. I had to realize the responsibility that came along with that and to take that very seriously and respect it. Part of the respect is giving less non-contextual opinions on social media and putting it on the page instead. This came out of a discussion where she was asked about so many people being divided, especially in a political climate. And they asked what it was like in the writer's room. And she said, that while most people went straight to social media the day after President Trump was elected, she went to her first day writing for the show Hood Adjacent. And she said, and I quote, "While everyone else had to go to social media to get their thoughts out, we were doing that every day in the room, and we were able to put it on camera. Then, when I began writing for This Is Us, we talked more about race openly. I'm glad we got to have conversations in the room that made it on screen. It taught me that as a writer, my value to these conversations is on screen, not on social media. That's why I started to pull back significantly with my thoughts on social media and now try to save it all for the room and the page. It was that last phrase that really stopped me, because I've been, I think with everyone, really trying to figure out what is the way to show my support of everything that's going on right now. What is the right social media post to put out there? How can I, in a certain way, have these nuanced conversations either on Twitter or Instagram or even on Facebook, when there's so much to say all the time? And I've been posting things here and there, but it never feels enough, because there's always so much more to say. And this article here, this interview, reminded me that, yeah, there may be so much more to say, but as a writer, I have all the pages before me, and so do you. So really, what I wanted to remind us all this week is that those of us that have elected to use our writing as our path and communication with this world, we got to really use it and not always try to have all the conversations on social media. Not that we should abandon ship completely. I mean, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. But never forget the true power that you have with the stories you choose to write and how you choose to write them. So I just wanted to give that bit of, I don't know if it's advice or just have that conversation with you this week, that if you are sitting in front of your phone or computer or wherever it is that you engage with your social media and you're like, I don't know where to begin or what to say, I say, step away from social media, pick up a notebook, open up a new document, and just start writing. Do what you were put here to do and write, and bring that out into the world. Last week, I told you about the TED Talk that is all about the danger of a single story. The cure for the single story is to read as many stories as we can, but also to contribute as many stories as we can. So that is all for me this week. I want to just encourage you to bring all your fully contextualized thoughts, feelings, and emotions to the page. And if that means that you skip a day or two on your social media, so be it. You have greater powers in other places. Have an excellent week. Thank you as always for listening. Happy writing. And I will talk to you next week.
Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Stop Writing Alone podcast wherever you're listening to this episode today. Then connect with us on Facebook at Stop Writing Alone Facebook page or in the Stop Writing Alone with Nicole Rivera Facebook group. Check Instagram or Twitter where I'm at NV_Rivera to find links to our email newsletter. Happy writing. See you next week.